So good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Celebrating graduation day. Yay! This means something for the people that have been here all month long, but you can participate too, Lori. So today is a conclusion to our month of celebrating graduations, and I was lucky enough to go to Polly's son's high school graduation last Wednesday night, and that was very, very moving, very touching, and I know she was glad that I was there representing her, so that was nice. We are celebrating our collective graduation from this month's master's program in spirituality, which is what we've been doing here all month. And we bring our master's program in spirituality to a close today by doing several things. One, by adding the final ingredient to our master's level living. Number two, introducing to the world the fifth level of spiritual evolution. Remember, I promised that a couple of weeks ago I was going to unveil that fifth level. Number three, honoring and celebrating those who have earned their masters in spirituality with a special graduation ceremony. And that's a lot to do, so we're going to get started here. All right, so as a brief reminder, we're looking at the master's way of living, using the master teacher Jesus's life and his experience here on earth as the great example, of course, which is the way of living that recognizes our oneness. So it's not living from the why me or mortal consciousness where I am the victim of life, nor is it living from the by me or metaphysician consciousness where I'm empowered and realize I am not a victim, and in fact there is a universal law that responds to the direct impress of my thoughts and acts upon it, or to quote Ernest Holmes, what we believe, but where I can get stuck either in the materiality of it all or in the thinking that I am the one who has to make it happen. So I think we get stuck there sometimes. And it isn't even the through me or the mystic level where I begin to live from a consciousness that God works through me. This is a powerful place to be, but there is still more. It is the place of as me or master consciousness where I realize that I live from the realization that God walks as me, that I am a direct and perfect expression of divine energy, of divine source. The master teacher Jesus realized and lived from this place. He realized that, and that's what we're looking at living into. So first, let's discuss the final ingredient in the master's level living. Thomas Merton, an American Catholic monk and mystic, once said, "The spiritual life is first of all a life. It is not merely something to be known and studying, it is to be lived." And interesting, I was just watching, once again, as you flip through the channels, those movies that you stop every time and watch. And one of them that we love is Happily Ever After with Drew Barrymore. And at the very end, while Leonardo da Vinci is drawing her portrait, and she's saying, you know, that the story ends with and they lived happily ever after. And she says, it's not important that they lived happily ever after. What's important is that they lived. Mm-hmm. And that just always touches me. And so this quote was perfect. So master's level living means looking at day-to-day events differently. So how so? How so? Well, this is our final ingredient for this series. And we take our cue from our master teacher who said, "Judge not by appearances, but judge by righteous judgment." And so what the heck does that mean? What does it mean to judge by righteous judgment? When we are judging by appearances, we are looking at a condition that we do not like, and we say, this is bad. Be it a diagnosis, a relationship that's challenging us, a work experience that's tough, or an economic situation that we can't quite see our way through. But, and this is important, if God is present everywhere, and we believe that it is true, and we've talked about this several times this month, and every month we talk about this, then in the midst of that which we are not liking, even in the midst of that which we don't want, God is present, and that means that good is present whether I see it or not in every situation. Righteous judgment says, I recognize that this is the truth. So in The Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes writes, during the process of my life, many things may happen that appear to be destructive. We may pass through good fortune and bad, but if we cannot come to the point where we are not disturbed by things, we have found the secret. If, as Jesus said, we judge not according to appearances, but judge righteous judgment, if, I repeat, we can judge in this manner, out of any chaos, we can produce harmony. Master's level living says that we know it's all God, so it's all good. We know it's all God, so it has to be all good. Master's level living is the opportunity for me to claim the good even though I don't see it yet. That's the thing, right? It's not seeing is believing, it's believing is seeing. Even though I don't see it, I can claim the good. Holmes wrote, "Let us learn to see as God must, with perfect vision. Let us seek the good and the true and believe in them with our whole heart, even though everyone we meet is filled with suffering and limitation appears at all sides. We cannot afford to believe in imperfection for a single second. To do so is to doubt God. It is to believe in a power apart from God, to believe in another creator." That's that duality thing there, right? Let us daily say to ourselves, "Perfect God within me, perfect life within me, which is God. Come forth into expression through me as that which I am. Lead me ever into paths of perfection and cause me to see only the good." Let me read that again. Perfect God within me, perfect life within me, which is God. Come forth into expression through me as that which I am. Lead me ever into paths of perfection that cause me to see only the good. So I've used these are words that are near and dear to my heart. I've used these words as a meditation mantra for many, many years. And I used to think that that last line, "cause me to see only the good," meant to focus only on the good that I see around me. You know, take the best and bless the rest, right? It's like, oh yeah, this is good, that's not so good, but oh, bless that and let it go. But now I believe it to mean, well, for me anyway, to see the good and only the good in everything. Even if something in me says, oh, that isn't, but to turn it. That's that turning the cheek, right? To see it from a different viewpoint. It means that in order for me to actually experience the greater good, I must interact with everything I see as if it were good. For me to see the greater good, I have to interact as if it were good. We sometimes say, it's all God, so it's all good. More as a wishful thinking phrase, I think, than as a proclamation of truth. When I'm living in the Master's level, I say these words as a proclamation of truth, and I actually believe them. So that's what it means to come from that Master's level of living. But how do we practice that? To start off, we become a voice for the good. We don't become a voice for what's wrong. Ooh, isn't that easy to do? Because it's so, everybody's doing it. Everybody's doing it. Everybody can tell you what's wrong with the world, right? So we become the voice for what's good. Don't be the voice for how awful it is. Don't be the voice for fear, spreading it into your families and workplace and the world. Rather, be a place where the voice for good, the voice for hope, the voice for praise can be heard. Try that on and notice what happens in your life and in your perception of good. Because the more good we see, the more good there is to see, right? What we focus on, we attract more of. You interact with the good and your awareness of it just amplifies. As we interact with the good, as we recognize it, more good is revealed. When we hold our attention on good, when we speak of the good gets greater and the good gets wider. The good gets more visible. The good that before we couldn't even recognize becomes clear and visible. And that is Master's level living. And we take this final ingredient, combine it with what we've discussed all this month, which will be our exam in just a moment. You didn't know there was a test, right? And then we move into the 5th stage of evolution. Remember what the 4 are, right? Do we remember? This is from Michael Beckwith, right? Why me, mortal? By me, metaphysician? Through me, mystic? And as me, master. We thought that was it, but it isn't. There's another one. Are you ready for it? Beyond me. Beyond me. And I don't mean beyond me as in, yeah, it's beyond me, I don't know. That's not what I mean. But beyond me as in it's about more than me. This is where, with God, right? We're going to call it the messenger. One who chooses not to keep their brilliance, their gifts, their insights, their spiritual depths and wisdom, their abundance, their love to themselves, but desires in a completely and totally unselfish, unconditional way to give it to the world. And isn't that the true recognition of oneness? Because we can't outgive God, and we cannot give what we are not already, right? And how do we do this? We do this through seva, or sacred service. We reenact the loving givingness of God, and therefore we touch on our own divine nature. Dennis Merritt Jones, who we're studying this month, but we also did this book, The Art of Being, he wrote, "Make no mistake about it, service is not something you do only in your spare time. Every person in your life is there as an opportunity for you to remember why you have come to earth. Every person, every event, every circumstance you encounter offers you a gift. Yet another chance to love, serve, and remember to love. That's why you are here." And I love this note from the universe, which we keep handy and look at often. It's no accident that when you look closely into the eyes of another, the very first thing you see is yourself. That when you hold their hand, you can feel your own warmth. And that when you give of yourself, you give to yourself. Because quite simply, both you and they are me. So let's get it started. The universe. Gotta love those notes. And that is our fifth evolutionary stage, going beyond me to the messenger of love, light, and truth. And now, for those of you who have completed your Masters in Spirituality program, congratulations. We honor your dedication and commitment, and we have a graduation ceremony. So what we're going to do is I'm going to hand out diplomas to you. Even if you've missed a class or two, or all of them up until now, you can go back and listen to them online and catch up. There are makeup classes available, right?
Get it on some level.
Right. You've gotten it all on some level, so you can all get your certificate today. So after all, in this thing called life, we are always in school, aren't we? Mm-hmm. Right? So as we bring this ceremony to a close, and we're going to start in just a moment, I want you to remember the words of Ralph Waldo Emerson. He said, "What lies behind you and what lies in front of you pales in comparison to what lies inside you." And so it is.